Last week was hot and dry. This week is cool and dry. In fact, by the end of the week, we have five of the major heavenly bodies in the sign of Virgo, and we have eight of the 10 in earth signs. So we're looking at a very, very earthy week. And it's the week of the new moon, so we're looking at a time when we're going to kind of be winding things down. It's a very good time to take profits, as it were. It's a good time, financially, but emotionally, energetically also. A very good time to decide what it is you're going to go ahead with. It's also the week of the Virgo new moon, and the Virgo new moon is always a time when we look forward to seeing what needs to be done by the end of the year. I'm Armand Diaz with your astrology forecast for the week of August 25th into September, all the way through September 1st of 2019. So we begin the week with a little bit of water. We haven't had any water in the sky. Well, Neptune is in the sky. He can't help that. Neptune's in Pisces for 14 years, so it's not going anywhere. We begin the week with the moon in Cancer. And my feeling for Monday is that the day starts off relatively well because we have a lot of harmonious aspects and we're getting some more water and we're feeling a little bit of a closeness, an emotional sort of sense of things that's going to probably feel pretty good. And then later in the day, the moon gets out to that position it gets to every month when it's in Cancer of opposing Saturn and Pluto. And here there may be a little bit more of a testing. It may be a sense that things are put to the test, really, that you could certainly run up against a little conflict with an authority figure. You could wind up in a little bit of a spot in terms of having a lot of work to do. What started as a responsibility during the day is liable to become a bit of a burden as the day wears into evening. So Monday, get things done early and try to get things on a good footing early. And then later on, you may have some stuff to deal with. Now, we're going to have some very long moon void times this week. Okay, the moon is void virtually all of Tuesday, sort of the chunk of the day. The moon is going to be void. It is void all of Thursday. Well, Wednesday night through Thursday night. It's void the entire 24 hours, less 11 minutes. It's 23 hours and 49 minutes of a void time. And then Sunday, again, the moon is going to be void. So we have some very long void times at the new moon, which is a sort of low energy period. This is a time to sort of wind things down, bring things in, take care of everyday matters, take care of typical chores and things like that need to be done. But we have spikes of energy during the week. We have spikes of energy Wednesday, very, very strong energy day. And Monday is actually a pretty strong energy day too. So we have these sort of spikes of energy in this otherwise winding down kind of week. This is sort of the time, it is that back to work, back to school, summer's over kind of. It's sad, but it's true. It's that kind of we got to get back into things. Not the routine, though. Not back to the routine. You can't spell routine without R-U-T, if you get my meaning. Well, you get that. The new moon in Virgo on Friday is trine to Uranus in Taurus, real closely trine. Both the sun and the moon are very close to Uranus at that point in time. It actually represents an ability to get back to things with a new and innovative approach to things. And so it's not that we're going to be back into routine and we do things the old way. No. We're looking to see what works and what doesn't, what needs to be done, what's sort of calling us that we feel has to be done, and how can we do it? How can we innovate? How can we make these changes? It's probably not time to do very much, but it's certainly time to consider what we're going to do. When we get into next week, by the way, not to push the matters too far ahead of the time, but when we get into next week, the week of September 2nd and beyond, we get a very, very active period. This is going to be sort of a quick start out of this new moon. Now, with all of this Earth emphasis, though, we're probably not thinking about things that much. We may not be discussing things that much. We may actually find that it's by doing that we really learn what needs to be done and what will work for us and what won't. It's a sort of trial and error kind of approach that I think dominates this week most of the time with all of the earth energy that's so prevalent here. So, there is a bit of an exception on Wednesday, and then going through Thursday, the moon is void, but it'll be in Leo. And what this is doing Wednesday and Thursday is pulling us back to that fire energy that dominated for the past month, for late July through August. And it's a time to look and see, well, that path with heart, that whole following your own heart, following the things that really energize and vitalize you. How are you doing with that? That's about what I would use Thursday. That's what I would use Thursday for. Wednesday, you're probably going to be pretty active. We have the Mars trine Uranus. There's going to be a lot of activity. It's a real doing kind of day. And then Thursday, things are going to settle down a little bit. It is a time to be a little bit more reflective just before the new moon. So that's a good thing to look at. Okay, how am I doing in terms of, really living that life that I've kind of imagined myself? And then as we go forward, it's then time to strategize. I don't think that, the sun trine Uranus really ought to be a very active period, but it's the new moon. So it makes more sense that we sort of plan and strategize for the future than that we sort of actually go out and do all that much on Friday, Saturday, and certainly Sunday with the moon void. It's a good time to rest up. That's a bit of a strategy. Late Sunday, the moon goes into Libra, and we start to get a little bit of a second wind. This weekend, also, as you strategize going forward, we do have nice energy coming from a Mercury-Uranus trine. So if you need new ideas, if you need new ways to do things, maybe they're not ideas, maybe they're just like ways to do things, actual, again, sort of a trial and error. Let's do things a little bit differently. That's energy is going to help quite a bit. It might really help. If you're doing anything that, a skill, certainly practicing the instruments and stuff like that is a great example. But any sort of skill or any sort of precise task that you're working on, and to get in there and to find new ways, it's the way you're moving your hands, it's the way you're moving around the part. It's not necessarily all working up in the mental sphere. There's sort of on the ground kind of sense about it. It's also an interestingly good time for relationships. Now, Venus, the planet of love and relationship, is going to trine Saturn. And that is an energy that I think you could look at, certainly through the weekend, as being quite strong. It's a good opportunity to build on what you have. I don't know that it's really so much in the way of new opportunities. Could be, but I don't know if it's such a new opportunity thing. It's more about building on what you have. And for some folks, because it's a trine and it's a closing trine, if you want to get specific about it, it could be a release point. So where there has been some tension, where you feel things aren't working, this trine might actually help you to release and let go of things. The trine to Saturn is quickly followed by Venus squaring Jupiter, and that'll push you forward. That'll give you faith. Whether you're going forward or whether you're trying to get out of something, it'll give you a lot of faith to go ahead and do it. So we have this sort of both Saturn and Jupiter kind of helping out at this point in time. I know Venus is in Virgo, where she's supposed to not be so happy, and she's square to Jupiter, but really those two planets get along very, very well, and so you should be good with things. Again, opportunity to go forward, opportunity to get out when it comes to relationships. So the week starts with a bit of tension. It's very energetic at midweek, and then we sort of plan for the future, figure out ways to do things. It's very on the ground, earthy energy that we have for us this week. As we get into September, we're going to continue. Earth dominates this entire month. It's going to be a while before we have any planets in air and with the exception of the moon, and it's going to be it's a very hands-on, earthy kind of time. Enjoy it. It's a great energy to enjoy. It's the new moon this week. It's maybe a little bit subdued. I'm going to the NCGR conference in Baltimore. I hope it's not too subdued. Um, but it's with the void times and with the moon waning and all the planets in Virgo, it may feel a little bit of like a settled energy with little spikes of activity in it, and that can be a little unsettling sometimes, but it's a good week and I hope you enjoy it, and I'll see you next week from Baltimore.